Baptism is an incredible thing. In the book of Acts, there's a wonderful story. We've talked about it several times. The story is of this deacon named Philip who gets sent to talk to this guy, this official who's reading the scriptures. And he's trying to understand what's there. And when he finally gets it, when he finally understands it, they're traveling along in his chariot, and they stop the chariot, and he says, listen, there's some water. Why can't I right now get my tattoo? That's our today language piece, the tattoo. See, if you have a tattoo, there's always a story. It always means something. You'll always remember why you did it, when you did it, hopefully. And baptism is that way. This is an opportunity to identify with Christ. In a moment, you'll get to hear from Ashley and get to hear from Dan. And then you'll get to respond. Listen, this is kind of a team sport thing. Because I'm going to ask you, why should they be in these waters? And then we'll wait for you to tell your stories about them. And then we'll give them a moment to share some of their stories. And then they'll go into the water to be buried in the likeness of Christ's death and to be raised in the likeness of his life. Today, for purpose, we'll go out of order. We're going to go ladies last today. And I'll start by just sharing a little bit about Dan. I'm trying to think who introduced me to Dan. Oh yeah, it was Danielle and Matt. Some of you remember Danielle and Matt. And so here we are sitting in the lunchroom talking, and pretty soon this guy that I'm talking to in the lunchroom starts showing us a Bible study, and the next thing you know, all kinds of growth starts happening in his life. He starts telling me about, hey, Pastor Greg, we're going to have a meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning. We're reading the scripture and praying together. And even this concept of doing a baptism here at Springfield College was kind of far from my mind until Dan said, I'd like to be baptized. Fortunately, not because of him. On the day he was supposed to be baptized, I was sick as a dog. So we canceled. And because of that, other people had a chance to connect in with this story. In fact, when we rescheduled, one of the people who got to connect in, Jessica LaPointe, had this opportunity to sit outside and talk with her friends. And while we were talking, another one of her friends, Ashley, said, I too would like to be baptized. So here we are. Today we're going to start by baptizing Daniel. And before we do that, I will ask you the question, relationship with Jesus Christ. What proof do you have of that?
I don't mind speaking. I spoke last time, but there's no question in my mind that Dan has a love for Christ and a passion for Christ. As you're talking about having those 7 a.m. scripture readings, I've been doing that now for pretty much this whole semester, and it's been such a blessing to be able to be supported in my own faith. And Dan's been one of those people that's definitely supported me with it, being there, reading. And I really admire his convictions that he has for Christ and just overall how passionate he is about what he believes. And it's something I really admire about him. And one of those passions is definitely Christ, and you can tell that. Thanks, man.
Just Bible scripture, just talking to him about Christ, but just joking with him. His sense of humor it's uplifting. I mean, whether I'm in a good mood or bad mood, just joking with him or like laughing about nothing, it's just so much fun. And we always, joke about that or talk about that or talk about catchphrase. And it's just he's a great person to be around, and laughing at nothing is always fun.
To those of you who haven't met Dan before, his laugh is probably the most hilarious laugh you'll ever see.
And he does that.
He stops breathing at points. His face. Oh, that's great. It's great. We love it.